Hi guys, my name is Jepster and this is my YouTube channel. So I'm a colorist in the Philippines and I'd like to welcome you to the third episode of my DaVinci Resolve Color Grading 101 series. So for this episode, we're going to talk about more of the Power Windows and the Qualifiers. These tools are so powerful that these is actually where all the magic happens when it comes to doing some premium color grading tasks. So what do these tools do? So I guess it's best that we get right to the video and see how to use these tools. And here we go. Okay, so I won't go beating around the bush, but if before you do this, I recommend that you watch my previous videos. I'll be putting up links below, and I will actually be putting some links probably in the right side of your of this video. If you're watching on a smart TV, I don't know how it look like, but if you're watching on your laptop or on your phone, probably a link will appear on the upper right. Now, we're going to talk about Power Windows and Qualifiers. Now, let's go to Resolve. Now, we're here in Resolve, and I've created, I have this image, this shot. I took the liberty of correcting it so that I could explain how to use these the Power Windows and the Qualifiers much easily. So I'll be teaching the nodes next week, how these actually work, but I'd like you to check out how these Power Windows works. Power Windows are basically what we call the mask, but the mask doesn't actually give you an alpha channel. Masks usually just like they kind of focus on a certain area. For this image, client may ask, Jepster, this area is a little too bright and it doesn't merge well with the rest of the image. Now, if you actually look at the waveform, your client is right. So we could actually make this image more balanced and more appealing, and this right side won't be too distracting if you actually use what we call the windows. So we have different kind of windows. We have the rectangular window. Rectangular window is basically square, and then we have a circular window, and we have the line, which is wherein it gives you a rectangle and you could play around with that. And you have what you call the pen tool. It actually like the pen tool in other softwares like Photoshop and so forth. Okay, so delete that. And then you have a gradient mask or a gradient window. But the gradient, if you want to know what happens when you use one of those windows, you could actually turn on our highlight tool. What the highlight tool does is actually it highlights whatever you're focusing on using the window. Now, if you turn this on, this is what the gradient highlight tool does. So we turn on our power window right here on the lower left. And this is what is basically selected. So what does this do? What does it mean when you select it using the Power Windows? If you actually turn your highlight off, and then if you do any adjustments in your color wheels, so if you want to know how to use these color wheels, you can check out last week's video on how to use these wheels. Probably a link will pop up, or I could just put the link down below. But anyway, so what does this do? So if you play around with the color wheels, you could actually see that only that area of that image is being manipulated. If you like lower the gain and such, so only that area is selected. Now, what we're going to do is we want to select this certain area. So I'd rather use the pen tool because I like to select things manually by myself. I don't have to worry about if I did it correctly. So there we have it. And now when you use the Power Windows, you have different options. You could transform the size, you make it bigger or smaller. You can actually move it left and right. You can actually rotate it, and so on and so forth. And you could soften it. So what would it look like? Once again, just turn on the highlight window. The shortcut is Shift H, and you could actually see which area is it that you'll be working on. So you can soften this up so it won't be too obvious. Okay. And then once you soften it up, you can actually do some corrections in your primary wheels. And since it's a little too bright, we could actually lower this like that and add a bit of shadows that there and lift it down and give it more depth. Okay, now that we've fixed that, this is how it would look like. So if you look at before and after, that bright area won't be that distracting anymore. Now if you want to really adjust the highlight, probably lower that more a bit. There you go. So this is what Power Windows do. Okay. You select an area, you could work on that, and so on and so forth. So only that area will be affected. Now, what if it's moving? For example, the client says, Jepster, I think the face needs to be a little bit brighter. So we could actually use our circular tool and just focus on the face. Once again, Shift H to highlight that area. Make sure that we only select the face. The face is the only one being selected. Okay. And we want to brighten that area. We could actually use just the gamma. Okay, Shift H. Okay, make her face brighter, make her face glow more. Okay, but what if it's moving, Jepster? What do I do? So what you could do is actually, we also have what we call the tracker. Now, DaVinci Resolve's tracker is actually 3D. So it will pan, it will rotate, it will resize based on what it's tracking. And like any tracker, whatever software you use, it will base its tracking on whatever point. So what we could do is we could put the tracking right here in the nose and do certain adjustments. Okay, focus. Okay, just the size. So, and then we could analyze. So you just press this to analyze the video. So basically now it's tracking the entire clip. There you go, it's now tracking. We could adjust the gamma. We could actually add more contrast, so on and so forth. Could reduce the color. That's how powerful Power Windows can be. You combine your window and your trackers, so you could actually do a lot of things with that. Okay, now we have bright in the face. So combining the power window and the tracking can do a lot of wonders when you're color grading. You could isolate objects and such, but I'd like to introduce you to a different tool called the qualifier. So what if the client says, Jeps, I want her lips to be a little bit more noticeable. I want it to be more red. I want it to be more voluptuous. So what we could do is actually just select her lips, and what we could do is just use the selection range here and just select the color of her lips. So the qualifier is like a magic wand in Photoshop. You could actually, once you click and you press the highlight, it's actually the only color that will be selected. And then you could actually add a bit more or reduce whatever you want to reduce in the image. Okay. Okay, so there's a little bit more different colors coming in, and we want to reduce that. So we just really want the reds, and then really the red area of the lips, rest of the skin. Okay, so we could actually clean this up. We could soften that up so that using the denoise, and then we could clean black is reduce, and then add more is, there we go. Okay. We just really want the red area. There we go. And then increase that and just retain the lips. Now remember earlier we have the tracking, and then we could just place the tracking over here. Tracking is still applied, so it will still follow the lips, just the lips. And then we could just select the lips And we really want this to be red, but we still have to make sure it's safe. Okay, so down there. Let's change the saturation, add more of that red. Hue. Go. Have it. So we want it to be more red. Change the hue to lit. There we go. Saturation to. That's how we use qualifier, the power windows, and the tracking. So that's how powerful this can be. I would ask Jepster, why not just use the qualifier and not the window? So let's try turning off the window and see what happens. When you select the highlight button, other stuff are being selected. But if you use the power window, it just really focuses on the lips. And once you also use the tracking, it will just focus on that movement as well. So you could track the lips. Now, with that, we have a client happy. Now, the client is happy that we now have what they asked for. Okay, so this is how you use the power windows, qualifier, and tracking. So these two, all of these combined, can do a lot of wonders in your image.
Wow! So the power windows and the qualifiers. So these tools are so powerful that it seems that anything is possible. So you could isolate the color, you could isolate the object, you could isolate the skin. There's so many things you could do with these tools. So I hope you guys learned a lot from these. So if you have any questions, don't forget to comment below. If you have any suggestions, do that as well. And if you like this video, press the like button. And if you want to learn more about DaVinci Resolve and color grading, don't forget to subscribe. So next week, we're going to talk about how to work with nodes. So we've tackled about how to use the different tools for exposure. We know how to color correct exposure. Now we also know how to use wheels. And now we've learned how to use the power windows. And now, how do these nodes actually help in our color grading process? So I'm going to talk about those next week. And I hope you subscribe and you get those notifications by clicking on the bell, and you'll get notified once this episode releases. And I'll see you guys next episode.